Jeremiah is an experienced counselor. He is a registered professional counselor, master practitioner in clinical counseling with the Canadian Professional Counselors Association. The Canadian Professional Counselors Association, in case you didn't know, is a nationally recognized organization of independent, self-regulated, nonprofit organization. So we're going to have to stay on topic tonight. In our exercise program at the Thrive Center, we had t-shirts made up that read, not just surviving, but thriving. And a lot of us here tonight are living with prostate cancer day to day, whether it's the gentlemen or their partners. So I'm looking forward to hearing new ways to thrive beyond the prostate cancer diagnosis.
All right. And so thank you so much for joining. It's good to see everyone here tonight and those joining online as well. Glad you could join us as well. And any future viewers who are just checking out this video, hopefully this will be of beneficial to you tonight. One of the biggest challenges, of course, is what's not to talk about when we're dealing with the challenges of something like living with prostate cancer and trying to thrive beyond diagnosis. So I've kind of have a little bit of, for lack of a better term, a little bit of everything. And so by all means, it may prop up questions. But one of the things that was on my heart when I went out for coffee originally with Richard, and he was sharing the vision with PROSTAID Calgary, was just, just sharing about that and just starting to think about some things of, when he asked if I'd be willing to speak, what are some things to share with it? So that's part of the therapist challenge, is what some things, may be too simple, other things might be too complex. So I've tried to kind of bring some application, but maybe also a little bit of vision to be able to share tonight with everyone who is dealing with prostate cancer tonight, and or any other secondary, thirdary issues that happen with it. Also, we'll be focusing a lot too on family members as well, because many of you may have a partner, that is also trying to figure this journey out, which is where I've aptly titled it, Now What? What do I do with this thing called prostate cancer? Some of you might remember, hopefully this won't trigger anybody too much, but many of you may remember that day when I discovered I had prostate cancer. What did I think about this diagnosis? What did I feel about this diagnosis? What did my partner family say, think, and feel? And ultimately, at the end of the day, and now what? See, maybe I was just retired, or I was just about to retire. Now what? Since when, as a guy, have I maybe been even, because I'm talking about these things called feelings already. Where is he going with this? When have I been in touch with my emotions? And now my wife tells me she feels shut out. Well, now what? I've been trying to open up to my wife, and now she's shut down. Now what? My new meds may prolong my life, but now I'm impotent. Great. Now what? So no easy answers. But I want everyone to know here tonight, even if they are tough questions, it's okay to ask the tough questions. May not always have the answers though, but it's okay to ask the questions, such as, you may have figured out the main theme for tonight. So now what? So what do we do with this thing? How do we thrive with this thing called prostate cancer? Well, one of the things I want to introduce tonight, a term you may or may not have heard about before, but it's the need to understand what is known as anticipatory grief and how to work through it. Many of us have heard the term anticipatory grief, or at least the term grief. I have a dad, he passes away. I'm very sad. I have to work through the grieving process. Maybe I have a partner who's passed away, a family member, a loved one. Now I have to work through the grieving process. But anticipatory grief is similar, but a little bit different. The definition of anticipatory grief in a simplistic way is grief that occurs before a loss happens. In other words, You have prostate cancer, and if I may call a spade, it means that you are going to die. But I'm still alive. But it's going to happen. When is it going to happen? Well, we don't know. It's for some people, it could be, and I'm not going to go into the stats. You guys probably know more about that than even I do. For some, it could be a month. For some, it could be a year. For some, it's 15 years. But it's grief that occurs before a loss happens. The emotions and loss through anticipatory grief, however, I'd like to suggest are like waves. Some are big, they're like tsunami waves, and some are small. And here's the reality with waves, there is no order in which they hit. There's no order in that. And this is important. The reason why is even just going with the traditional concept of grief and loss. A lady named Kubler-Ross came up with the 5 stages of grief that you may have heard of. Basically, denial, anger, bargaining, or what I like to call grasping at straws. Why, God, why? This isn't fair. Depression. Oh, what do I do now? And then this strange thing called acceptance. And it's important to recognize anticipatory grief with that. It's not just grief and loss, but it's a form of grief and loss. So even though there will be a grief and loss one day, when, like it or not, that old Ben Franklin statement, the 2 things common in life, death and taxes, it's the knowing that something's going to happen that's now out of my control that can create a form of anticipatory grief. The doctor said, what? No, denial. This is not fair. I'm so angry. What do I do now? Now what? Anger, bargaining. What? Come on, doc. There's got to be something we can do about this. Like, come on. I've actually been healthy. I've stayed away from the dilly bars, and got to be kidding me. This is happening. And then depression. Oh, what's the point of getting up today? Can't go to work anyways. So whatever. I'm feeling like garbage thanks to the meds they're giving me now. And then acceptance. That's again good to keep in mind regarding waves, because within the waves of acceptance, there can be different stages, little stages, big stages. My hope would be that everyone could get to a place to where I accept that I have this terminally ill thing called prostate cancer. Well, if that's you need to talk to me, and let's learn some stuff. And you should actually be sharing next time in one of these sessions of how you were able to accept it and continue on with it in a positive way. But many of us, when we deal with different things, even beyond prostate cancer, it's a hard place. All right, I accept the doctor said it. I can't deny it anymore. And that's a form of acceptance. But to actually be okay with it, I don't know if there's really such a thing sometimes. But can I maybe learn to be content or figure out how to thrive in it? That's kind of what we're talking about, isn't it? So this is where we got to figure out, how do we work through these things called anticipatory grief? This is where I would like to suggest, and this came from when I actually went for coffee with Richard. I was like, as soon as he said this, I was like, that's what I'm going to talk on tonight, because I love the name that he told me about within PROSTAID Calgary. You see, men with prostate cancer need to become warriors. All right. I want to stir you up a little bit tonight, men, if that's okay, if I can stir anything up tonight, because a person who is part or belongs to PROSTAID Calgary is called a warrior. And I love that title.